Welcome to the deep dive. So, our mission here is pretty straightforward. We take the source material that you, our listener, send in, and together we try to sift through it all.
Yeah, cut through the noise and really pull out the core insights.
Exactly. We want to help you get informed, maybe have those aha moments, and just understand what really matters in the stuff you share.
Think of it like we're navigating this material alongside you, sort of pointing out the connections, the threads you might miss at first glance.
And today, wow, we've got a really interesting collection. A listener shared some daily guidance for June 14th, 2025. It's from The Flame of Truth, Daily Guidance for Inner Illumination by Tarot by High C.
Mm-hmm. And it includes daily astrology and I Ching reading. They call it a TarotScope and a story, too.
It's quite a mix. So our job today is to weave these different perspectives together, figure out what the underlying message is for you.
And looking through it, there's definitely a theme that jumps right out, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It feels like a really strong pull towards introspection, um, authenticity, and this idea of understanding where real strength comes from.
Yeah, that inner strength versus just, how things look on the outside. It runs through everything.
Okay, so let's start with the astrology for June 14th. The big picture energy, the source says, begins with the moon in Aquarius.
Right. And an Aquarius moon, according to this source, usually points towards things like community, innovation, uh, humanitarian ideas.
Thinking outside the box.
Totally. Maybe even like throwing out the rule book sometimes. It suggests group activities, brainstorming, maybe even, interestingly, a bit of a tech detox could be good.
Huh. Okay, so broadening horizons, trying new approaches.
Exactly. Finding fresh ways to look at old problems.
And then there are specific aspects happening throughout the day. In the morning, it mentions the moon sextile Saturn and Neptune.
Yeah, the source describes this as integrating structure with inspiration. So taking those maybe out there Aquarian ideas
Uh,
and finding a practical way to ground them, but still keeping that connection to your ideals, your intuition, making dreams a bit more tangible, perhaps.
okay, practical dreaming. I like that.
Yeah.
Then, midday, things seem to ramp up. Moon conjunct Pluto.
Oh, definitely. That's a big one. Moon conjunct Pluto, the source notes, really brings emotions up to the surface, like deep stuff.
Intensity.
Yeah, intensity. And maybe a strong desire for real change. It could pull you into having those deeper, maybe more vulnerable conversations. It's energy for transforming old patterns, stepping into your power.
Stepping into power, okay. And then tonight, Moon square Venus.
Right. And the source flags this one as potential tension, maybe in relationships, maybe around finances.
So after the Pluto intensity, this could be where some friction shows up externally.
It could be. Maybe linked to those deeper feelings or power things we were just talking about. It might highlight where your sense of value or, security feels challenged.
So putting the astrological day together from this source, we've got innovation, community focus, then this dip into emotional depth and transformation, followed by potential friction.
Yeah, it's a dynamic day.
Yeah.
But the guidance that comes out of it is really key.
What's the core advice?
Well, it's kind of layered. It says make practical progress on your dreams, but stay connected to your ideals. Transform old patterns. Embrace your power.
Okay.
Stay open to compromise, creative solutions, especially if that tension with Venus comes up.
Yeah.
And maybe most importantly, look for chances to rise above fear, become more spiritually empowered, step into your bigger destiny.
And this really connects back to that main theme we saw. There's a specific warning in here, isn't there?
Yes, exactly. Be really aware of ways you might be giving your power away, like to external authorities, or maybe just seeking validation from outside yourself.
Instead of finding it within.
Precisely. And it emphasizes that working together, genuine connection, can actually help us move past fears and old wounds. It's about reclaiming that inner spiritual sovereignty.
Reclaiming sovereignty. Okay, holding on to that idea of inner power and authenticity, let's look at the I Ching reading. This source gives us hexagram 30, Li, changing into hexagram 22, Bi.
Right. And the interpretation here really focuses on spiritual honesty. It's about quietly tending your own inner light, being patient, especially with truths that might feel uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable truths, okay.
Yeah. And it signals this shift in how we present ourselves outwardly versus what we truly value inside. The core idea is that real beauty, real clarity comes from that inner fire, not just the shiny surface.
So let's dig into hexagram 30 first, Li. The source gives keywords like illumination, clarity, inner fire, alignment, attachment.
Li. It's often called the clinging fire or radiance.
Yeah.
And the message here, according to the source, is all about nurturing that flame inside you, that clarity of heart, of spirit.
So paying attention to what feeds you.
Exactly. What genuinely nourishes your spirit. And, crucially, noticing patterns or maybe attachments you're clinging to just out of habit. It's a call to choose consciously what sustains you and what might be draining you or dimming that light.
So it's about awareness, seeing clearly what lights you up versus what consumes you.
Precisely. And the guidance says that illumination comes through discernment, like careful seeing, not just reacting impulsively based on those old habits or triggers.
Makes sense.
And it does warn that situations might pop up today that challenge that inner clarity or trigger those old attachments. The advice: stay steady, like a flame, protected but steady in the wind.
That's a great image. Inner strength against external forces. Okay, then LI changes to hexagram 22, BI. Keywords here: surface versus substance, appearance versus authenticity.
BI is about grace or adorning, but the message here is very clear. Choose the real thing over just the decoration.
Don't just make it look pretty.
Exactly. The source actually warns against the urge to, quote, decorate your difficulties, like putting a nice veneer on something that really needs deeper work.
Uh-huh.
Be careful about getting too caught up in how things look, seeking superficial praise, or using distractions to avoid what's really going on underneath.
So again, facing the truth, even the uncomfortable stuff.
Absolutely. Don't mask the discomfort. Face what needs attention beneath the surface.
Yeah.
The kind of grace BI talks about here, the source suggests, isn't about external polish. It comes from honest self-reflection.
Wow. Okay, the journey from LI to BI really hammers home that theme. You tend the inner fire, get clear, and that naturally leads to needing to strip away the superficial stuff, make sure the outside matches the inside.
It's a really logical progression, isn't it? Once you're clear on your inner truth, the focus shifts. It's less about performance or seeking approval, and more about genuine expression.
Okay, so we've got the cosmic energies pushing for inner power, the I Ching demanding clarity and authenticity. Now, let's see how the story of the day, the flame of truth, brings this all to life. It's about someone named Arian.
Yes, the story sets the scene beautifully. Earth is young, the veil between worlds is thin, and Arian is this figure known for wisdom, eloquence. He can calm arguments with his words.
Sounds impressive.
Outwardly, he totally looks the part. Fine robes, gems, special sashes. People seek him out for advice. They value his knowledge.
There's always a but in these stories.
Always. Despite all the external success, inside there's this dull ache, an emptiness that no amount of admiration or fancy stuff can fill.
The core problem. Okay.
And that's the setup. Then he has this powerful dream. He meets an ancient figure, the keeper of the inner flame. She's incredibly powerful, but dressed simply, eyes like suns, holding just one brilliant flame.
And what does the keeper say?
Cuts right through it. You have gathered much, but you have forgotten the source of your own fire.
Oof. Pow. Right to the heart of it.
Then the keeper shows him two paths. One goes through these grand, opulent gates, lined with mirrors reflecting back all the admired masks Arian wears: sage, peacemaker, leader.
The external identities.
Exactly. The other path. Just a simple, unmarked trail into a wild forest. No mirrors, no crowd cheering him on.
And the choice is laid bare.
Yep. The keeper says basically one path clings to the stuff that's dimming your light under all the golden silk. The other strips you down until you find your own truth within. Choose.
That's a heavy choice. What does he do?
You feel his hesitation.
Right.
That pull of being admired versus this little spark of deeper knowing. And then he acts. He literally takes off the symbols of his status, the fancy mantle, the rings, the belt, and just leaves them there.
Wow.
Steps onto the forest path, barefoot, carrying only a small lamp.
Into the unknown. And the forest isn't easy, I assume?
Not at all. He faces his fears. They show up as shadows with voices asking those gut-punch questions. Without your titles, who are you? Without praise, what are you worth?
Ouch, the core fear is tied to external validation.
Exactly. But here's the crucial part. He doesn't fight them or argue. He takes those fears, those questions, those dependencies on the external, and feeds them into the flame of his lamp.
Feeds them to the flame.
Yeah. Watches them turn to ash. And as he does this, the story says, the flame within him grows steadier, stronger.
He transmutes the fear into inner strength.
Beautifully put. And by dawn, he emerges totally transformed. Not Arian the sage or whatever, but Arian the true. Clothed, it says, in nothing but light, heart clear.
And how does this change affect others?
His words are different now, not designed to impress, just to illuminate. And people looking at him, they don't notice the missing robes or jewels. They see something else.
What?
The reflection of their own inner fire in his eyes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's powerful. So his authenticity ignites theirs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the moral the source gives nails it. True radiance isn't in the external decorations. It's in what you tend inside. Illusions fall away when you choose clarity over comfort. That inner flame of truth, it outlasts everything superficial.
What a story. It perfectly echoes the I Ching, the astrology.
It really ties it all together, doesn't it?
So let's synthesize. Looking across all three, astrology, I Ching, Storia, what's the amplified message here? What do we understand better by seeing it from these different angles?
Well, it's not just be authentic, it feels deeper. The astrology shows the context, the potential for deep connection, reclaiming power, but also the risk of getting caught in external validation, maybe leading to tension.
Right. And the I Ching gives the method almost. It's about facing the uncomfortable stuff, tending that inner fire with discernment, and actively choosing substance over surface, especially when things get tricky.
Yeah, and then the story gives us the embodiment, the visceral feel of what that stripping away process looks like, confronting the fears attached to losing external validation and discovering that the real source of light, the thing that truly connects you to others, was inside all along.
It makes the abstract concepts really concrete, like that moon square Venus tension the astrology mentioned. Maybe that shows up as feeling pressure to keep up appearances in a relationship or with money.
Exactly. And the I Ching says, don't decorate the difficulty. The story shows Arian literally taking off the decorations. It's a direct parallel. It suggests that if conflict arises, maybe it's showing you where outward appearances are clashing with your inner truth.
And the power to navigate that comes from.
That inner flame clarity, the one Arian found when he let go of the external.
So for you listening, today, June 14th, based on these sources,
Right.
it really feels like a clear invitation.
A really potent one.
How are you tending your inner flame today? Where might you be choosing appearance over substance, maybe out of comfort or habit?
Uh-huh. Or what power might you be giving away to expectations, to what others think, instead of grounding in your own inner knowing, your own authority? What uncomfortable truths might need some patient, honest looking at?
It feels like a day where real transformation happens not by fixing the outside, but by strengthening that core fire within.
Definitely.
Thinking about everything we've covered, what's one image or insight from these sources that really stands out for you personally?
You know, for me, it's Arian feeding those fears into his lamp.
Yeah.
That specific action. It's not about ignoring fear or pretending it's not there. It's about actively engaging with it, using its energy almost, transforming it.
Yeah, acknowledging it and then letting the inner light consume it rather than letting the fear consume the light.
Exactly. It really highlights that the light isn't something you put on like a coat. It's what you cultivate and protect inside.
So true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've journeyed through the astrology, the I Ching's wisdom, and
Yeah.
that powerful story. And they all seem to converge on this central theme, the incredible power of inner truth, of authenticity.
Yeah, it's a strong reminder that, the most radiant version of yourself isn't found in what you collect on the outside,
Right.
but in that steady light you tend within.
So here's a final thought to leave you with, building on that. If true radiance really does come from cultivating that inner flame, what masks, what external decorations might you be ready to gently lay down today? And what would it look like? What would it feel like to simply be the light that you tend?
Something to definitely reflect on as you move through your day.